Well, good evening, chat. How's it going? Is Dimple streaming? I decided to stream over him to steal his audience away from Ben Shapiro. I noticed that a lot of people are upset that the Daily Wire is buying off Meanie Beanie. And what can I say? I'm upset for different reasons. I don't appreciate the fact that the media is becoming centralized. Like, the cool stuff about entertainment on YouTube is the fact that you got like all these different content creators and they all have their takes. And if you end up with a big corporation like the Daily Wire just buying people off, especially if they're buying all the right wingers, then you end up with cable news again. And so I don't see the point. Hello, Alex and Christopher. Yeah, I don't care really that much about Ben Shapiro, but I'm so glad that what's his name? Steven Crowder didn't take the deal. Candace Owens is now out. I don't like centralization. And not to mention, I really hate corporate. I mean, one of my favorite content creators, as you guys probably know, was Sargon of Akkad. And the reason, and I'll tell him this as well. He doesn't know this, but I'll tell him when I talk to him next time. The main reason that I liked Sargon of Akkad is that he spoke in a way that was talking to the common man. Like, if you are a drinking lad, if you're a working class gentleman, if you're, like someone that's not going to a university or spending a lot of time online in order to learn about politics, then you'd watch Sargon's channel and was like, oh yeah, like this guy knows how to talk to people. This guy knows how to speak. And then when he started his Lotus Eaters podcast, he's talking like I would say the way he is talking, but I would get striked for community violations. But you guys probably know the word that I'm thinking. And now he doesn't speak with the common man. He talks like the intellectuals, which is fine. Like it's a different type of content. But it's not the type of content that I like consuming. I enjoyed listening to a more down-to-earth take than to hear someone talk about the lunar cycle and the longhouse. I know what they mean. But, like, people on the street do not use these definitions, and so they feel fake and plastic. Mika Fresh, thank you for the $4.99. As long as I can extract the game files, I will be making my tasteful Lewd mods till my last breath. Well, we're going to get into that as soon as more people join. I don't think that this statement is done to prevent you from having mods. I think it's done so that Nexus Mods bans it. We'll see what happens. But yeah, so all in all, I don't like the fact that companies are buying off other content creators. I get it, I know why they're doing it. I can't stop it. But like as a subscriber, as not the content creator, but as someone that consumes the content, I don't like it. Hello, Tomcat. Welcome to the show. What happened while I was asleep? Huh? Apparently, we got news from Civ 6. Holy shit, Civ 6. I actually am a Civilization fan. The only thing that I would want with Civilization is to be better in multiplayer, but I don't know how they can do it, right? Because it's a turn-based game, and these games can last for days, if not weeks. And so when you're playing it online, it's not like Age of Empires. You're playing for like 30 minutes and then that's the match, or League of Legends. No, like this shit can end up for days. And what usually happens is you join a match and there's like 4 or 5 people, and then as the match continues, people just drop off without without any reason. It's not like they're losing the game. It's just like they're getting bored or they're just dropping off. And so I wish I could play this multiplayer, but like with people that genuinely want to play. But I don't know like how they. So like if I was to make Civ 7, what I would focus the most would be the multiplayer experience. It's like, let's get some people in a room and figure this shit out. Like, how can we make it so that its multiplayer is enjoyable and it doesn't take 5 hours to play? But instead, what the people are thinking, it's like, how can we get Harriet Tubman in the game? Okay. For those of you who don't know, Civ isn't a historically accurate game, right? So like the problem isn't that they got Harriet Tubman. Like, it's fine. Um, the problem is that it's the timing, right? Like in the era where you get boycotts against ESG and everything feels as corporate pandering, and what you learn in propaganda immediately is that perception is key. Like, it doesn't matter what is it, what isn't, it's perception. And companies selling a product is the definition of propaganda. Like, every single time a corporation is presenting a product to you, they're engaging in propaganda, right? Like, cola is not going to tell you in an advert that Pepsi is cheaper, or that they're having a competitor, right? Like, they're omitting that information. Not to misinform you, but because, like, everyone knows that the purpose of a commercial is to spread propaganda. So when you're making a trailer and you have a game that historically has had world leaders as their as the rulers of nations, and you decide to pick someone that wasn't a leader, you're going to get backlash, right? And you're going to get people thinking, all right, like, where exactly did they spend their resources? What did they do with the money? How much did they invest in this? Like, what could this not have been invested elsewhere? The thing is, though, like, you already have mods, right? Like, the modding community already adds these characters. Like, there's a mod where you can have Hitler. There is a mod, and by the way, like, usually it's world leaders and other civs. But, like, yeah, you can have mods that has Harriet Tubman. That's not the point. The point that I think you're doing is you're pushing her so that people complain, and that it actually drives engagement. And you get, it trending. And not to mention, a lot of people were saying that she's not a good example because, like, I don't know the history of America that well. I mean, I know the modern history, and I know World War II history, and I know a little bit from World War I, but I do not know this era at all. And so, from what I hear from other people, is that this person only saved herself and her family and a couple of others, so, like, she's not a role model. I don't fucking know.
A. Born Araminta Ross to enslaved parents.
Diplomatic, militaristic, really?
Parents in Maryland. Harriet Tubman escaped from slavery and dedicated her life to saving countless others via the Underground Railroad. Facing difficult odds, Tubman quickly moved enslaved peoples through a network of safe houses and across treacherous terrain to reach freedom. Harriet Tubman excels at operating in secret, which makes her an excellent spy master. And if war becomes inevitable, she has the resilience to persevere.
Yeah, so all in all, like, I'm not against what they're doing, but it's the timing. Like, if they pulled this shit in 2014, no one would have cared and people would have applauded. But you're pulling this, like, right in the middle of a culture war. The game must be excellent if you're doing this. Like, you must make sure that everything else is polished, because otherwise people, like, everything bad is, like, people going to say, well, the reason it's bad is because you focused on other things rather than focusing on what matters, No, Tifa will be naked. Well, we'll be talking about Tifa in a little bit. Yeah, no, like, the criticism. See, here's one thing though. I can never say that the criticism is wrong because the customer, aka the person paying money for the product, has any reason not to buy it. Like, if they tell me that they don't like the UI or that they don't like the face of the developer and they don't want to buy it, like, that's legit criticism, because only the only person that can talk on how they spend the money is the person with the money, right? And so I'm not saying that you can't complain about this, but what I am saying, however, is that I personally don't find an issue with it. But I wish that they spend the same amount of resources on making the game good, and by that, the multiplayer would be great. Anyway, I suppose, like, what people are upset is the idea that, because, like, the game is not historically accurate, right? But if every single other civ has actual leaders, like you have actual presidents, kings, and monarchs, and America is the only outlier where you have like Tubman, Harriet Tubman as a leader, then that is a political statement from the developers, right? So like if they choose to allow, I don't know, in Japan to have like that white guy, that British white guy that was becoming a samurai, right? Like if they choose to have him as a leader, then you'd be like, okay, well, they're not doing the whole world leader thing anymore. But if every single other civ has like people that were kings and queens and emperors or influential generals, and America is the only one that has like Harriet Tubman as a leader, then it's like, all right. It also depends, like if it's one way or not, because it's not just this, but it's like if every single like European country has a minority as a leader, but like no African country has like a European as a leader, that's also a political statement. Hello V, how's it going? What's going on? Oh, American Outlier, look at this. I want to show you a video game. You just joined, so I'll show it one more time. Civ 6 has added a new American leader, right? This is a game that used to have presidents and kings and emperors being in control of their civilizations and taking it through the test of time. So now look at one of America's greatest founding mothers.
I never lost a passenger. Never crashed my train. Well, not many can say the same.
Born Araminta Ross to enslaved parents in Maryland, Harriet Tubman escaped from slavery and dedicated her life to saving countless others via the Underground Railroad. Facing difficult odds, Tubman quickly moved enslaved peoples through a network of safe houses and across treacherous terrain.
Did she take them to Canada so they can complain they're on stolen land? No, seriously, I do not know this part of American history. It's not ignorance. It's like, look, I know European history. I know Japanese history. I know my country's history. Like, too many histories. I know America after World War I. But, like, this part, I do not know.
To reach freedom. Harriet Tubman excels at operating in secret, which makes her an excellent spy master. And if war becomes...
She's like the TikTok of that era. Was she, you know, like harvesting data and information in order to...
inevitable, she has the resilience to persevere. In the modern age, consider pairing Harriet...
The funny thing is, like, when you get Harriet Tubman nuking your ass, you know, and it's like Harriet Tubman is threatening you with nuclear weapons.
Tubman with...
Because that's gonna happen, right? Like, it's a civ thing.
America, whose production bonuses will help you build towards a better future. Or choose a different path, all your own. But whatever you build, remember to build something you believe in.
Yeah, I don't think it's a problem by itself. We'll see what else they're doing. Yeah, I mean, imagine, why don't they have Trump in Civ, right? Like, isn't that a political statement? Are you insulting the now actual General Tubman? How many stars does she have? Which is the general with the most stars in American history? It's Washington, isn't it? Like, no one has as many stars as Washington. I think Tubman has at least as many stars. I'm not going to say she has more, but I think she has at least as many, right? Anti-spiral? Anti-spiral. On one hand, no modern technology, Alpha Centauri. On the other, no modern audience, Alpha Centauri. Yeah, the thing is, like, there used to be a couple of games with Civ that I really liked. And this is, like, one of the reasons I dislike Tubman, is because it tells me that the developers will never make the game that I want again. And the game that I want was called Colonization. They will never make that fucking game, chat. They will never, ever make that fucking game. So, Colonization gave you... It still plays similar to Sid Meier's Civilization, but you get to pick a European power. You get to pick the British, the Spanish, the French, and you get to go to the New World and you establish a colony. And You have to interact diplomatically with the other major powers from Europe. You gotta establish a trading outpost with your base back home, with your king. And the idea is like you're planting shit, like you're planting sugar, you're planting corn, and you're selling it back to Europe. And then the king starts taxing you. And it keeps taxing you, and it keeps taxing you. So like what you need to do is to develop your industry, to develop your spirit of independence, and then you declare autonomy from the king. And when that happens, the king attacks you, and if you manage to survive, you win the game. And they will never make that game again, right? And you also interacted with the natives. Like, the natives would be angry that you're taking their land. And you could try to have, like, either pay them for it, or you could attack them. And you could send your colonists to the natives to learn skills. Like, you could send a guy, an indentured servant, to the natives so that he can learn hunting. And now he's a hunter, and he provides food for the colony. And they will never make that again, right? Like, that's what really pisses me off. In the current climate, they made a video game that had something to do with colonism. It was like a fantasy game. I forgot the name. It was like an okay game. Greed. I think it was called Greed, yeah. Oh, the mainstream media spurged out about it. They spurged out. They would never do that. Britain dropped poor people in Australia until they realized it's got gold, silver, diamonds, and uranium. All right, let's talk a little bit about lewdness in video games. So there is something that I've noticed, chat. Especially in the last weeks. And that is that the people who are against lewdness in America right now are perverts and Puritans. It's so fucking counterintuitive. I genuinely don't even know how to rationalize it. But it's true. Like, if you think about it, right? If you post a sexy anime girl with big tits on Twitter, and she's fully clothed, but she's just got, like, big tits and maybe, like American Outliers ladies, right? If you post that, the people that will attack you are perverts and Puritans. So you have, like, people like Melanie Mac, people with genuine, like, right-wingers with crosses in the bio, or, you go through their timeline and they're into sports and football and they worship their athletes and shit. They're upset because you're spreading degeneracy, right? And the other group of people, and by the way, like, I would say that they number kind of like the perverts outnumber the Puritans 2-1, but, like, these are the groups. The other group of people are furries, are people that have, like, various flags and paraphernalia and pronouns. And the reason they're attacking the anime waifu is because it's heteronormative. But they so seamlessly blend with each other. Like, I swear to God, I'm going to post something to agitate these people probably next week. And then I'll show you. Like, I will go into the comment section and show you. It's like, look, this is a furry. He doesn't like the anime titty. He's a furry. Look, he likes diaper porn shit. He's like, right? Like, this is another person. Their entire timeline is dedicated to LGBT activism. Literally everything they do. But they don't like the anime titty. This person is a religious person. They subscribe to Matt Walsh. And they don't like the anime titty. And they work in unison. They work hand by hand. It's mind-blowing. It's like, what the fuck? Like, how is it possible that the degenerates and the Puritans have found common fucking ground? And what's interesting is that if you post something that's queer, no one gives a shit. Like, if I post a picture of Kratos with a big cock, no one cares. It's like, but if you post a picture with female Kratos, where she's got, like, big tits, and maybe you have, like, Atreus reaching for her tits, and Kratos goes, it's, you are not yet ready, boy. Like, stuff like, oh my god. Oh, like, if you post that joke, if you post that meme, right? Like, you have, like, gender-bent Kratos, she's got, like, big, massive titties, she's covered, she's completely, right? And you have, like, Atreus reaching towards her breast, like, he's not touching her, but he's reaching, and Kratos goes like, you are not ready, boy. Like, obvious a joke, right? Like, humor, haha. Oh my fucking god, it blows the mind of, like, the entire Twitter would be up your fucking ass. And again, like, it's the Puritans and the degenerates. There's no in between. Like, there's no just like you go on and you see a person with just like a normal timeline where they're like just having like a wide array of hobbies and they're just interacting and chilling. No. It's either like a person that only tweets about religion and is tweeting like the Matt Walsh and the Melanie Mac videos and all that. Or you have like an actual furry or an LGBT activist that's like tweeting The Guardian and the BBC nonstop. And so the question is why though? What the fuck is happening? Why are we dealing with this? And I think it's because an entire generation has been traumatized by third wave feminism. And I mean this not in the light sense. Like I'm not saying as a joke or an exaggeration. Like genuinely traumatized. Basically, if you remember 2014 era all the way to 2018, the media, the television, the social media, the schools, the TV shows, everything was telling men that the male gaze is evil, that it is exploitative, that it is disgusting, disturbing, and if you like to oogle at women, there is something pathologically wrong with you. They basically got heteronormative people to hate themselves. Like, this is literally a shame at such a level that most straight people are ashamed to say, yeah, I like watching Miss July. To the point where there was a calendar, you know, like a beer company made a character, and a calendar, sorry. And the calendar had like lewd ladies, like Miss January, Miss February, Miss December. Matt Walsh spurred out. It's like, we as conservatives should not stand for this, blah, blah, blah. And so I think this is specifically because of third wave feminism. What shocked me on Twitter was the Triple Z 1.4 update that removed the upskirt camera angle, and Twitter were up in arms about the update. Yeah, because like not everyone on Twitter is a degenerate or a Puritan. Like you just have people that do not like the culture. Like they don't want pornography, but at the same time they don't want this shit, right? So like this shit right here is Blizzard censoring on behalf of China, and they're removing the sex and the violence, right? So like here you have the succubus, and they had to censor into a fell stalker, right, in order to hide the nudity. Mistress of Pain is now Queen of Pain, but the art style is different, so that, you know, it's like more zoomed out. Like they probably had the Chinese censor and they told them. And it's not just this, it's also the violence, right? Like here you have an arrow that goes through a Tauren and it's deadly shot. And now in the new art style, the arrow doesn't hit, right? And so this is where we're at. This is where, you know, like China is in favor of this type of censorship. And it's also adopted by the West, and it's entirely compatible with the woke ideology, with the virus. But yeah, so like for those of you who don't know, there's an update in ZZZ. Now, I've never played ZZZ. I have seen it. But I understand it's like a lewd game. Like it doesn't have pornography in it. Like it's not safe for work. It's just like the type of game like Warcraft, if you will, like World of Warcraft. You know, like in World of Warcraft, you can play with a night elf and you can still zoom in close to her ass, right? And you could do this in this game. Like for a long while, they had the physics to have like thigh physics, like even the fat from the thigh was jiggling and stuff. And now what they did is like the character just disappears, right? So And it's so petty. I think this is why people are upset, right? Because, like, most individuals didn't even do this in the game, right? Like, most individuals wouldn't zoom in like this, except for a meme on Twitter or something. And the censorship is so fucking petty, isn't it? Like, was it really that required? Was it really that fucking necessary? And the thing is, like, a lot of people are saying that, I mean, first of all, there's other games that are even more lewd than this, right? But the reason it's censored is because of the CCP. Like, Zenless Zone Zero, from my knowledge, is a Chinese product, and that's what they're doing, right? Like, they will attract Westerners with the anime waifu, and once they get it off Westerners, they would censor. And so, this is why I don't even play Chinese games. For lewdness. Like, if I want to play for fan service, I play Nikkei. Nikkei is South Korean. I know the South Koreans don't give a fuck. China, no. If I play Chinese games, I play it for other reasons. Like, for instance, Path of Exile 2, right? Path of Exile 2 is Chinese. I play it because of the gameplay and the RPG aspect. I heard they undid the censorship and claimed bug. Well, now, do we believe them or not? If this is the case, sure. I don't think it's a bug, though. I think they may have gotten too much backlash. Because, like, the backlash for this was phenomenal. Like, here's the thing. This is why you sell skins, you know? And it's disrespectful for the artist. Like, there's a lot of thought into making the jiggle physics and shit like that. So, like, come on. You know, my problem with it isn't the censorship. It's the bait and switch. That's what I hate the most. It's like, why are you baiting people with the game and then you're switching it? Like, that's disingenuous. Stop that shit. If you genuinely have, like, a Puritan mindset, you know, release the game with the censorship from the beginning. And then it's fine. Like, no one will be upset. But don't do this. Don't release a game that is a bait and a lot of people go like, wow, this is cool. I want to play it. And then you're switching. Because people feel betrayed. I'm willing to bet there's a lot of people that didn't even peek under the skirt. But they did so, they got upset when you, like the very thought that you're willing to go there, that you're willing to censor. And here's the thing, a lot of individuals, they don't understand. Imagine if it's with violence, right? Imagine if you have a game that's like really gory, like Blood Rain, right? Like, so if you play Blood Rain, you know what I'm talking about. But there's like guts flying everywhere, dismemberment, and, you know. So a lot of people play it because of the aesthetics. They're not playing it because they're violent. They're not playing it because they're addicted to gore. They're playing it because they, you know, like it's fun. It's over the top. It's edgy. You're playing this game and you're chopping people off, right? And then they decide to remove the blood. Like, you buy the game, it's yours now. You invest time and energy into playing it. You create your character and shit. And now they remove the blood and gore. Is it not accurate for people to complain? Like, do you not find it reasonable that someone would say, well, hold on a little bit? And do you think, like, the criticism, oh, you just bought the game because you're a psychopath and you like blood? It's like, no, that's not it. That's not why they bought it. But, like, the very thought that you're censoring, you're treating them like you're the mother and they're the kids. And it's like, they're not allowed to. Come on. Lollipop Chainsaw is a very good game. You know, I will actually shock people here. I don't really play fan service games. I genuinely don't. But the censorship is what pisses me off. Unironically, I do not play fan service games. The only fan service game that I play is Nikkei. And it's because I wanted to make a YouTube video about it just to see what Eleg is. Because a lot of people were promoting that game at the time. And once I played the game, the story was just so fucking good, and now I'm addicted. And it's just like something that I do to pass the time. I haven't spent money on it. It's not like that. It's more like a Tamagotchi. You know, it's just like you log in every day, you do the dailies, and for me, it's relaxing. It's a little bit of a downtime. But the story was really great, right? So, from my perspective, I don't play these Lewd games. Like, I'm already married. I don't need these games in my life. But the censorship, it ticks me off. Like why can't we have art like we used to back in 2014? Right? And it's all interconnected, by the way. If you manage to finally get the moral busybodies to fuck off, you're finally going to get good games again. Because most of the problem right now isn't wokeness, but it's more like every single game is the same. Every single fucking game feels the same. It's almost like I played it before. Over the top shoulder bullshit. Same messaging, same ideology. And so, yeah. I hope that the West is going to get its shit together. Because otherwise we're going to get dominated by China. Which is already buying Ubisoft, by the way. Yes, American Outlier. I know. Like, that would piss off Twitter. 100%. Hold on, let me show you. Right? So, like, if you show something like this, people like Melanie Mack would consider pornographic. The reality is that this is the stuff that I grew up in gaming. Like, this was just normal back in 2014. If you saw this in 2014 in an ad, it would be considered like, okay, well, I guess, like, that's something like a manga for teenagers or something. You know, it's a violent show. It's like, okay. But you wouldn't think, oh, that's porn. No, like, porn is with penetration. That's what porn is. That is from American Outliers manga, by the way. It's called. Hold on a little bit. Like my brain is working, so I just woke up. We're fighting for. Yeah, look for we're fighting for on Twitter. Welcome to the stream, Lope. It's funny that the director of Final Fantasy VII Remake can... okay, I will explain to you why the director of Final Fantasy said this shit, right? So as I explained, like, the entire generation of... in the US has been completely demoralized by third wave feminism, right? Like, they think the male gaze is evil, they think the male gaze is horrible, and so these people work at companies now as consultants, and they are telling Japanese companies that this is what Americans think, and if you say this, it's good PR. And so the reason they're saying it is because they want people to get angry and upset and have it trending on social media. Like, this is how they do advertising nowadays. But another reason is that if you look at it, Sony is losing a lot in front of PC gaming. Like, at this point, that there used to be like a conversation, you know, the PC master race, blah, blah, blah. The PC race has already committed the console genocide, if you will. Like the consoles are completely marginalized. No one wants to fucking buy them. There is absolutely no advantage in buying a console nowadays. Like, I tried really hard thinking of, like, why would you want to buy a Sony PlayStation? And I couldn't come up with anything. And so, on top of that, one of the advantages on buying on PC is the fact that you can use mods, right? And when you have, like, ESG galore, and all the games look like shit, and you have, like, artists, like, ethics department. It's like, okay, let's make her tits smaller. Let's make her jawline stronger. Yeah, the market doesn't want that. Like, the market is struggling. Like, stop it. Just fucking stop. Like, no one cares. Just stop. Just make a game that you would like to play. Stop thinking about what the consultants are telling you. So, like, that's what the market is doing. But they're not listening to the market. And so, the mods are the market. Like, you go on Final Fantasy and you see the mods. The probably, like, the first top 5. I don't know. I haven't gone there. But, like, the first top 5 is to make the women prettier. Or naked. Either or. Usually it's actually to make them pretty. Like, that's another interesting thing, you know? Like a lot of people don't prefer to see the female characters naked. They prefer to see them dressed more sensually. That's an interesting observation. But anyway, Tifa even went into the Italian parliament, although she was naked there. My point with this is that Sony is losing in front of the PC, and one of the reasons it's losing is because of the mods. So when you have the developer come out and say, oh, I don't want you to have offensive or inappropriate mods, what they're basically saying is, like, Nexus mods ban this shit, right? So now it's up to Nexus mods. Like, the ball is in their court. They can just say, yeah, like, for Final Fantasy VII, we're not going to allow these mods because we're catering to the wishes of the developer, right? Or Sony themselves can say this. Like, I'm pretty sure, like, Sony has channels and contacts to people that work at Nexus, and they can make a backroom deal and be like, look, we would appreciate it if you stop allowing these mods. Again, the idea is that it's destroying competition, right? Like, people buy on PC, and many people do so specifically due to the mods. And if there's no mods, they can be like, oh, well, as long as it's not looking as if Sony is doing the censorship, as long as it's looking as if Nexus mods themselves are doing it, then yeah. So this is my take on why this developer cares. Because, like, I work with other developers, and it's just insane. Like, why the fuck do you care? Like, if someone was to mod my game, I don't fucking care. It's your responsibility, you know? Like, you do you. Like, if you make something that makes you happy, whatever, it's your, like, you bought the game. It's yours now. That's my mindset. You know, like, I'm selling my game through Steam. Not because, oh, I don't want people to own the game because it's digital. It's like, no, I just don't have the money to print it on CDs or USBs and ship it to people. But, like, my mindset is that if you bought the game, it's yours. Like, you can do whatever the fuck you want with it. You know, if there was a way for Steam to allow you to trade games and gave my game to someone, I don't care. It's like, hey, you bought it, it's yours. But this is not the mindset that we're having now. The mindset is like, no, even after you bought the game, you still need to treat it as if it's not yours and as if the developer has a say in how you modify it. Like, imagine this madness with a fucking book, right? Like, imagine if some guy wrote the book, like George R.R. Martin, right? He writes a book, and then he tells people not to make fan service, or he tells people, yeah, when you have the book, I want you to not doodle on it. I want you to not rip pages from it. It's like, shut the fuck up. It's not your... I bought it already. Jesus Christ. I mean, this is the mindset, right? Like, you don't own the thing. American Outlier, thank you for the $5. Nintendo is really the only console that is staying afloat, especially with the open world Legends of Zelda series and Pokemon. Well, yeah, like, here's the interesting thing with Nintendo. They actually have exclusives, right? And I generally don't understand why is it that Sony doesn't have exclusives anymore. I'm pretty sure, like, if I were to do an investigation, I would find out. You know what? Fuck it. Let's ask ChatGPT, because I'm lazy. Like, ChatGPT is like a search engine, and it usually... Why doesn't Sony have exclusives anymore? Sony has started releasing some of their former PlayStation exclusive titles on the PC. The move is aimed at expanding their player base to maximize profits. Oh, the wider audience, right? Yeah, I mean, I guess if you want to destroy your brand, you know, like short-term income for a long-term loss. But okay. The second one, increasing development costs. AAA game development is more expensive than ever. Another dumb take. You know, I watched the Spider-Man sequel. I never played it, never touched it. And it's got like $400 million put into it. And I'm thinking, like, does it look like a $400 million game? Could it not be made with less graphics, more gameplay, more immersion? Why do they have to be $400 million? And the Chinese are making the game on Tanta now, and it's using anime girls, right? And a lot of people were like, oh, well, I don't like the aesthetics. And I'm like, yeah, no, I get it. But, like, they're spending less money to create a product. And if they manage to actually spend more quality on the gameplay aspect and on the story and immersion, that's 100 times better than making realistic graphics. Like, overly realistic graphics, in my opinion, are overrated. It's not that they're bad, you know? But like, nowadays, unless you're making... And by the way, it also matters the type of game as well. Like, over the shoulder, in my opinion, is so overly done. Maybe like a super realistic graphical game that's in VR, like that would be cool. Or something that's a first person shooter, okay. But like, I'm so sick and tired of the over the shoulder trap. And by the way, you know, I was looking at Far Cry 2 compared with Far Cry 6, and Far Cry 6 has better graphics, hands down. But it's the little things. Like, Far Cry 2 did so much more with less. They were basically having the way the fire spreads, the way trees burn down, like all that shit. Like, it's so detailed. Like, they have like such amazing physics. Competition with Xbox Game Pass. Yeah, the Xbox Game Pass and the PlayStation Plus Extra, I think these mindsets destroy the company. So the idea was, we're going to make games very expensive. We're going to make them cost all the way up to $120. And so you want to pre-order a game, you want to play it 1 week before launch, $120. But if you pay for the Xbox Plus, or you pay for the PlayStation Plus like $9 or something, you get the game for free. Like, you don't have to spend anything. You just need to cough up $9 a month, and you get the game for free. That's literally how they thought about it. And so they expected that people would buy it, and then you have like all the games there, and you have like your save files, and you have like your characters, like you play Path of Exile and you level up your characters and shit. And now you have sunken cost fallacy. Now you actually invested time, right? So now when they will make it $20 a month, and then maybe like $30 a month, you can't complain, right? You can either choose to keep paying, or you lose access to all your games. You lose access to all your save files. You lose that was the mindset. And it also would help AAA. Like, someone could make a very shitty game. Imagine if Concord comes out and no one plays it, but it's on the library. It's there with the other games, and they can say, well, yeah, I mean, no one bought it because they're playing it on the library. I mean, Concord is a bad example because it's really easy to point out that no one is playing. But there's other games that went through this shit, right? Like they did low expectation in sales, and they could say, well, yeah, like people aren't buying because they're buying the Xbox Pass. But this didn't work, right? Because technically, if you do this, you lose access to all your games. Like, you don't own anything. And the moment you violate the guidelines, maybe you say some nasty shit on Twitter or whatever, and they decide to ban your library and to ban you from having the account, well, they have a lot of control now, right? So, like, gamers went, no, fuck this shit. We're not buying the games. We're not buying your pass. And yeah, this whole investment was a shit show. Like, I hope whoever came up with the concept gets fired. Industry trends. The gaming industry is moving towards more cross-platform compatibility, as seen with cross-play between consoles and PC. Games now expect to play with friends regardless of platform. Strategic partnership. Console market share confidence. Sony has dominated the console market. This dominance allows them to loosen their grip with exclusivity. Yeah, no. So if what ChatGPT is saying is what they talked in the boardrooms, those people need to be fired. Watch the head of Larian Studio speech for this year's Game of the Year Awards. He explained exactly what is needed to win while lambasting the Western AAA studios. I think Baldur's Gate, and this is from what I heard from the insiders, Baldur's Gate 3, they started with proper developers. So, like, the original first acts are done by people without ESG in mind. The same people that did the Divinity Original Sin 2 worked on the initial game. And then as the game goes on, that's when they started pushing the pronouns and, making sure that player doesn't have choice in the character editor regarding faces, and like a lot of dumb decisions. Some characters, some NPCs were added later on. And basically, this is why like the last act looks so unpolished, is because a lot of the original devs left and they got diversity hires instead. And so Baldur's Gate 3 is like one of those rare cases where the game is woke, but it's actually good because like actual people worked on it. Again, this is from what I heard behind closed doors. So take it with a grain of salt. But I don't think they can pull it off again. I don't think that the next Baldur's Gate is going to be as good. We'll see, of course. But if you guys remember Act 3 and how it's like, that's pretty much the new theme, right? So the Larian's studio speech about what is to make the game of the year. Yeah, well, I hope they can keep the same energy. I really do. No, they didn't just copy paste the Divinity 2. No. There were a lot of new cool mechanics in Baldur's Gate. Like the ability of characters to use different terrain and jump and shit, and they focus more on that. I wouldn't say it's like a copy paste, right? Like it definitely builds up on the engine. It builds up on the idea, and they're trying to improve. But I wouldn't say that it's unoriginal. Well, if you haven't played Baldur's Gate, it's not you complaining. Yeah. Yeah, the thing with Baldur's Gate, and this is my take on it. I know it may be unpopular, but my take is like this. I like the fact that the quest lines have multiple ways of ending them, and that the story actually carries through. So it's like, okay, you got a group of refugees that are seeking shelter with the Druids, and the Druids wants to kick them out. And so you can side with the refugees and please everyone. Like you can actually defend them from the attack, and then they leave, and everyone is pleased. You can slaughter the refugees. You can ally yourself with the goblins, and you slaughter the refugees and the goblins. You can just slaughter the refugees, right? So, like, you can ignore the whole shit. Well, actually, no, hold on. You can't ignore that. But the idea that you have, like, so much freedom is what I think is cool. The fact that a lot of people recognize your race, like, if you choose Dark Elf, a lot of people point out that you're a draw, and it actually matters in conversations. However, with that out of the way, the characters are completely forgettable. Like, you don't have your Talizora, you don't have your, what was it? Your Aruya Shal from Pathfinder. Like the characters, I never felt like, wow, I really need to get this character in my team because I genuinely want to hear their takes on this and that. Like, none of the characters were really standing out for me, In Mass Effect, I was like, shit, do I get Tali? Do I get Miranda? Do I get Grant? Like I was always struggling. It's like, which secondary character do I get? Because they were all so fucking good. It's the same thing with Pathfinder. It's like, whenever I was making a team, I was like, shit, like, I really want to play with this guy, but then this other guy doesn't have space, right? And so in Baldur's Gate, I never felt like that. It was like the characters were just there, and I was like just getting them because it's like, okay, this guy has these abilities, so I'll get him. The story wasn't that wow, right? Like in Baldur's Gate 2, John Irenicus was just driving the plot. Like, John Irenicus was like so fucking cool. And here you have like the Elder Brain, and like no one fucking cares. I just want you to see how cool Baldur's Gate 2 was. So let me see if I can find the speech. So Baldur's Gate 2. Irenicus speech. Look at this, right? Like, this is a game from 17 years ago.
You dare to attack me here. Do you even know whom you face? You will suffer. You will all suffer. So, Godchild, you have escaped. You are more resourceful than I had thought.
You're not going to torture us any longer.
Torture? Silly girl, you just don't understand what I'm doing, do you?
I don't care what you're doing. Let us go.
I won't let you leave, not when I'm so close to unlocking your power.
We don't want anything from you.
Enough! I will no longer listen to the babbling of ignorant children.
This is an unsanctioned use of magical energy. All involved will be held. This disturbance is over.
Must I be interrupted at every turn? Enough of this.
This mage's power is immense. We must overcome him quickly.
Enough. I haven't the time for this.
You will cease your spell casting and come with us.
Your pathetic magics are useless. Let this end.
Even if we fall, our numbers are many. You will be overwhelmed.
You bore me, Mageling. You may take me in, but you will take the girl as well.
What? No. I've done nothing wrong.
You have been involved in illegal use of magic. You will come with us.
I'm not going with him. I'm not. Help me, please.
That's a game made from 17 years ago, and with the technology they had back then. And so, yeah, I mean, it sounds like a radio drama because that's what they used to have as, that was the sound quality back then. But yeah, no, the story is that you're the spawn of Bol, and this mage captures you and experiments on you. And that is your childhood friend. and she is taken by those authorities with Irenicus, and you have to rescue her. Like, that's the story of the game. Isn't it a little bit more intriguing than the story in Baldur's Gate 3? And yeah, you could actually be an evil asshole. Yeah. I'm trying to find, like, Irenicus's philosophy, because he actually does try and lecture you about life and strength. Okay, listen to this. This is actual video game from 17 years ago talking about philosophy.
Life is strength. This is not to be contested. It seems logical enough. You live, you affect your world. But is it what you need? You are different inside. This woman lives and has strength of a sort. She lost her parents to plague, her husband to war, but she persevered. Her farm has prospered, her name is respected, and her children are fed and safe. She lived as she thought she should. And now she is dead. Her land will be divided, her children will move on, and she will be forgotten. She lived a good life, but she had no power. She was a slave to death. I wonder if you are destined to be forgotten. Will your life fade in the shadow of greater beings? You are born of murder, the very essence of that which takes life. You have power if you wish it.
Isn't it better than The Message? Isn't that insightful, right? Like, it actually does make you think. Basically what Irenicus is saying. Elections have consequences. It's basically trying to tell him, listen, elections have consequences. Yeah, he's the bad guy. Man, like, these kind of plot lines get you. This wasn't even considered to be like the best game ever. I mean, you have Neverwinter Nights, you have, this is BioWare, right? Like, this is BioWare of the old, and we don't get that anymore. We're not going to ever get that anymore. Did you hear that Popeye and Tintin will be entering the public domain? Get the fuck out. Did I play Planescape Tournament? Yes, but it had too much dialogue and it pissed me off. Like, look, Baldur's Gate already has a lot of dialogue. But Planescape was like, Jesus fucking Christ, just dialogue and dialogue and dialogue. And I was like, no. No. Enough. It's like reading a book. Yeah, well, the person that they got to voice act Irenicus, oh my fucking god! Like, I don't know who the guy is, and I'm thinking he's probably dead, because it's been like more than 20 years. But just hands down one of the best voice acting performances. It's not just the talk jutsu. Like, every character had really great dialogue, and the game itself wasn't bad. Like, the game itself had a lot of problems, but it was original. There was no other game like it when it came out. It was really, really amazing. And that's another thing. You know, like, back then they would make games that were original. Like, every game was different than the other. Now, even the UI is similar. Like, you play one game, it has almost the same UI as all the others, and it's like, okay. Is there an illegal immigration game yet? Yes, it's called Baldur's Gate 2. In Baldur's Gate 2, you're an illegal. I think in the first, in Neverwinter Nights 2 as well, you're an illegal. Like, you're getting into the city illegally with the Thieves Guild. When the bad guys really, really, really are the bad guys. Yeah, like, the thing with Irenicus, like, what he wanted was to find a child of Baal and rip their soul so he gains immortality. And then he wanted to rip the essence from the tree of some elvish city in order to become a god. So, like, yeah, he is absolutely evil because everything he does is for himself. And what's interesting is, like, unlike other villains that, you know, they're trying to get something from the player, or in the game, like, you as the player are inconsequential. Like, Irenicus just constantly ignores you throughout the whole thing. Like his beef is not even with you. Like, he just takes your soul and then fucks off. He's not interested. Like, he got what he wanted from you. And now he's trying to destroy the Elven Kingdom. And so the reason you're fighting him is to get your soul back and your friend back. But like, he doesn't even consider you his equal. Like, he just only until the last battle when he starts losing, he's like, oh shit, okay. But it's like a really interesting story, right? Because, like, usually other stories are like, you know, the villain tries to get the ring and the heroes try to cast it in the mountain, or the hero tries to get something, the villain tries to get something that the hero has. But, like, here, no, like, the villain already got what he wants, and he just doesn't care about you. Yeah, see, I did tell you that the voice actor probably died. When I'm killing everything possible for XP, yeah, he's evil. He's already max level. He doesn't need to kill shit. Like, he's already at level 20. I think, like, you can actually ally with him later on, and he even breaks the game. Like, he's beyond 20. Sifroth in KOTOR, Closed Fist in Jade Empire. Evil used to be so much fun. I remember that, yeah. And the thing is, like, in the game, you can be comically evil, you can be actual evil. Like, that's another cool shit. A rookie villain mistake, ignoring the main character. I don't even blame him from making the mistake, because in the entire game, like, he is presented like he is so fucking powerful. And even in the end, it's like you unlock some Bale bullshit. But before that, you genuinely can't match him. Like he is one of the strongest spellcasters in the world of Faerun. And so this is why he ignores you. Like and it's not like he ignores you in the way that he does a speech and then leaves. It's like, no, he's got his own plans. And by the time you reach him, he's usually done with that area. So, like, he doesn't need anything from there. And it's like, well, this is a waste of my time. Fuck off. No. He doesn't start monologuing. Let me see if I can find the Irenicus. I'm trying to see if I can find the one where he escapes.
The girl they brought in, she's a cute one, isn't she?
I do believe I'll have to practice some enchantment spells on that one.
Oh, this joke would never fly. No. Too haram,
huh? Hold. What was that sound?
You too. The new prisoner. He's escaped.
What? When? Where is he?
He's in the lower... Gods, no. He comes. He's here.
I cannot be caged. I cannot be controlled. Understand this as you die, ever pathetic, ever fools. Hello, little one. You and I have a great deal to do.
What are you planning?
Not to worry. Nothing worse than what I shall do to your friend.
Yeah, her body is he's not the type of holding speeches. No, he's actually considered, I think, like one of the greatest villains in gaming history. He's not even Joker evil. No, he just got a plan and is going to see it through. and you're just trying to catch up to him, but like you're usually too late until the end game, and when you do catch up to him, you kick his ass. Yeah, they put a lot of effort. The fight cutscene is not actually that interesting because like it's using the game engine. Like nothing there is something that you can't do properly in the game. Anyway, right. I should go work on the videos for my main channel. Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it.